Hi guys, it's SkintBoot here, and today what I'm going to be bringing you guys is a No Man's Sky video. And in today's video, what I'm going to be looking into is 5 features or changes I wish the next update had given us. Now, I will make this abundantly clear because I know that this title might upset a few of you. I'm not trying to make out like the next update wasn't good enough or like I was upset with it, like I was disappointed with it. I know I speak for most people when I say that Next was the best thing to ever happen to No Man's Sky. However, there are many areas of improvement that Hello Games could have added on to Next to make the update even damn better than it already was. So anyway, without further ado, please do sit back and relax. Let's get started. Okay, so first up is a feature which some can consider a little insignificant, but it was brought to my attention by a viewer on my live stream a few weeks back in reference to the Next trailer. In the trailer for Next, an exocraft can be seen with a different paint job to the default one. Now, when we first saw this, me and most others thought that this confirmed color customization for exocraft. However, I completely forgot about this until recently when I suddenly clocked that this feature was not in Next. After some digging on the interweb, I discovered that the color change was relating to the actual color of the exocraft bay. So in reality, vehicle customization did not exist. But this is exactly something I wish Next gave us, because alongside character customization, we could have easily got exocraft customization. Now, I'm not talking whole new parts and extensive changes like our player models, because that would be a whole other update in itself, but rather the ability to simply change the colors and maybe even the paint jobs. My inspiration for this comes from how Rocket League has a very similar way of customization, where a certain paint job can be chosen with primary and secondary colors, and if you want to go as far as to change the kind of texture and the look of that color, then you can do that. And in theory, this shouldn't be too hard to implement with No Man's Sky. Colors themselves are basically there because they change when you change the bay, and designs would act as decals pretty much. As for where this customization would take place, well, how about those weird circular structures outside outposts, you know, the ones which look like shelter for cars but don't do anything? That would be perfect. Either way, basic exocraft customization would have been a perfect fit in the Next update due to the character customization being a major part of it, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was a feature that was added somewhere down the line. Next up, we have the speculated ambient game mode. This was a hot topic many months ago through data mining discoveries relating to a so-called ambient mode. This whole separate mode was supposed to act as a visual tour of the No Man's Sky universe, where the player would take a floating camera across the universe in real time to simply examine the planets and take in the scope of the game. It would be like taking the photo mode camera through the universe without boundaries and without freezing time. It's an amazing idea for a separate game mode because it's so damn different to the rest of the game. I mean, you aren't even playing the game, for fuck's sake. Now, I'm aware this is likely very hard to implement in No Man's Sky, especially due to the engine and how the game isn't technically a open universe game, so maybe this is why it wasn't introduced with Next and why it was cut from the game, but I think there is definitely room for it somewhere down the line. I mean, the code for it exists. However, I do think there is one simple reason why this was such a big missed opportunity, and that's because Next didn't introduce any new game modes. Previous content updates added survival, permadeath and creative mode, but Next didn't add a single one. Yeah, you could say multiplayer, but that didn't change the variables of the experience. You know, damage wasn't changed, a difficulty wasn't affected, a true unique game mode was absent from Next. And what would have fit this absence so well? The ambient mode. To take a break from the multiplayer grind, or even just to see how beautiful the game is with the visual upgrade that Next brought, the ambient game mode would have been amazing to fully show off the upgrade upgrade Next gave to No Man's Sky. We will almost definitely see this game mode added in with future updates, but personally I feel like it made the most sense to introduce it with Next. Alright, so next up we have more planetary dangers that actually affect our ships. So this is a bit of a small one, but again it is one which has been long speculated about, even before 1.3 if I remember correctly. So a while back, data was discovered in relation to No Man's Sky for audio lines saying ship launch unavailable, storm in progress, or something along those lines. The idea behind this tiny piece of audio, which no one was sure where the fuck it came from, was that we would be unable to launch our ships when on a planet with a storm in progress. Now this seems like a very small thing, and trust me, I know it seems overly nitpicky, but it would have tied in nicely with Next's general focus on planetary danger. I mean, Next visually overhauled storms for one, which is perfect. It also gave us biological horrors and also cave toxins. So adding the inability to fly a ship during a harsh storm would have added an extra bit of challenge alongside the other dangers that were introduced. Now the debate to go with the actual audio line that was found revolves around if this was a good thing to introduce. Because on one hand it makes perfect sense, your ship probably wouldn't be able to take off during a big ass firestorm, but at the same time it may be a little too annoying for players. I personally think it wouldn't be a huge issue. I know a lot of people would probably just get used to it, especially those who play permadeath, and it would make planets more challenging. But perhaps, as I said, it would have made a better addition to separate game modes that are more challenging, like permadeath or survival, but who knows, it would have definitely fit into Next nicely, that is for sure. Okay, second to last is a big old concept, one which I always wanted from No Man's Sky multiplayer, and that is some sort of guild or official faction system. No Man's Sky currently has user-made factions and alliances that sort of exist unofficially inside the game. We of course know these alliances very well, and there is a surprising level of dedication and roleplay to these factions, but Next missed out big time on making these communities official. I am aware that this is likely too big of a feature to include in one update, but with the introduction of multiplayer and being able to actually play with your friends, Hello Games could have neatly slipped in some sort of system that allowed players to form a basic alliance. We're of course not talking about full-fledged battles and wars and politics and all of that shit, but rather just a small room or a menu where community-made groups can be joined that say grant you like a clan tag or some sort of role to show you're officially part of a certain group. I guess you could say the system from Battlefield, the platoon system, is perfect. You make a small group, it's available to search, and that's it. You join it, you get a rank, sorted. There is a very high chance that this will be a feature somewhere down the line, as multiplayer will gradually get added to and improved upon in the future, but it would have made the introduction of multiplayer even more impressive with the launch of Next. But to fully make a concept like this work, we must have one feature nailed down. This is the final missed opportunity for me, and that was the removal of orbs. Controversy inbound. Yeah, I will say that the multiplayer did somewhat disappoint me in Next, at least with random travelers. The fact that random explorers you just encounter on your travels are displayed as the same orbs from 1.3 was something me and most of the community was simply not expecting. Having our invited mates as astronauts and seeing them mine and fly and all of that is sick, but I want every player to be an astronaut. This occurred to me the most in the community event that has been running for a few days now, as the planet that hosts this event obviously has lots of random explorers going about their business trying to obtain their hex cores, but since they haven't been invited, they appear as 1.3 orbs. And not being able to see player models just doing their bit in actual community events is just the biggest missed opportunity for me. In fact, it's quite painful to see. I would have thought that the whole point of a community event is to interact with people, do gestures and shit, make new friends and talk to each other, and technically you can do that, but without a player model, it just feels so much more basic and so much less kind of community driven. It's really hard to explain, but something something about it feels so shallow without actual player models. But please don't let this seem like I'm coming across as ungrateful, because multiplayer is amazing and I know Hello Games will improve it even more for the future. But just allowing 16 player models would have been the icing on top of the already existing amazing cake that is No Man's Sky next. So that is just about all I have to say for this video, but guys, as always, I do want to know your thoughts on it, so feel free to put some features which you think the next update should have introduced, and I will get around to replying to those. But thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then please do feel free to leave a like on it, and if you guys could also subscribe to MZK, then that'd be absolutely fantastic. And as always, I will see you guys on my next video. This is SkintBoot, signing out.